Can you do this?
Nope.
Can you do this?
Nope. Not even a little bit.
Why not?
Well, see, you guys are animated, and I'm live action.
Can't be animated?
Well, I can be animated, like I'm enthusiastic.
I've never seen you enthusiastic.
No, nor animated.
Yeah, to be fair, I never really like to take it above a 6.
But when you say live action and animated, what's that?
Well, remember when I showed you guys Mary Poppins? Lady with the umbrella. The scene with the penguins.
Oh yes, the penguins.
Yes, the nanny, the lady that was in live action. That was Mary Poppins.
Oh, she was Mary Poppins. I was only looking at the penguins the whole time thinking, which one of them is Mary?
Hey there, welcome back to Story... Alright, yeah, same logo like always. Hey there, welcome back to Storytime, guys. I, as always, am your ever live action host, Story J. So have you heard me talking with my little friends over there? Then you know by now that we're taking the animated approach with Storytime today. Now when I say animated, I don't mean like excited or dancing.
Hey, look who's getting enthusiastic over here.
Alright, enough. I mean, we're going to take another way that storytellers tell stories, and that's through one of my favorite styles, animation. Now we've seen stories go from books to cartoons to movies. The same go for read-alouds in classic children's books, starting with an old school classic from our friends at Weston Woods. A familiar little story about a boy who loved to draw. You may know him as the boy with the purple crayon, friends, and fellow readers. This is a picture for Harold's room. I want a picture to put on my wall, said Harold. He drew a house with his purple crayon. More houses made a little town. It was far away. The town had woods and hills around it. It was at the end of a long road. It will look pretty in the moonlight, said Harold. And he stepped up into the picture to draw the moon. He looked down at the houses. I am a giant, he said. But a giant would scare all the people in town. It is good no one woke up and saw me, said Harold. He walked over the hills. How big I am, he said. Harold's head was above the clouds. With a few steps, he came to the end of the land. And at the end of any land, there is water. It is the sea, said Harold. There are seagulls. Harold was big enough to walk through the sea. A great big ship went by. It was an ocean liner. A big whale came up in the waves, spouting water. And just ahead of Harold was an old sailing ship. He easily caught up with it and passed it. The sea ended against a steep hill. Harold needed some rocks to step on. He climbed out of the sea and onto the hill. Then he saw that the ship was too near the rocks. He put up a lighthouse to show the sailors. And he went on his way over high mountains. Harold was taller than the highest mountain. I am higher than anything, he said. Then suddenly, he thought of airplanes. Harold ducked his head just in time. It was a big jet plane flying very fast. There might have been a bad accident. Harold found a low place in the mountains. It was a good place for a railroad to go through. It came out onto a long, flat field. Harold put some birds and flowers near the tracks. People like to see things from trains, he said. He went on, drawing tracks and birds and flowers. And he had to keep looking out for trains. It was a big job for a small boy. And all of a sudden, he saw how small he had become. He was half the size of a daisy. He was smaller than a bird. How would he get home? He could not wade home through the ocean. He could not climb through those high mountains. And just then, he fell into a mouse hole. "Excuse me," he said to the mouse. Then Harold sat down on a pebble to think. After a minute or two, he stood up again. "This is only a picture," he said, and he took his crayon and crossed it out. "I am not big or little. I am my usual size." But how could he be sure about that? At home, he was always his usual size. So he drew the door of his room. There was a long mirror on the back of the door. "Yes," said Harold, "I am my usual size." He was glad to be back in his room. He was tired, but he had no picture to hang on his wall. So before he went to bed, he drew another picture. Now, back when Story J was a little J, cartoons weren't made in computers like they are now. Every frame you see of Tom and Jerry, Scooby-Doo, or Bugs Bunny, before computers, every frame was hand-drawn and painted by people. Can you believe that? That means any commercial, any afternoon cartoon show, any feature-length movie, all done by artists. And to give you an idea for how many drawings it takes to make a cartoon, every second is 24 frames. That means there are 24 different drawings made for every second of film for a traditional animated cartoon. So 24 frames, carry the 1. That's 5,760 different drawings for maybe 4 minutes of Popeye.
Popeye? I love Popeye.
Yeah, I love that guy. Who's Popeye?
Who's Popeye? Who's... No. I gotta educate you guys.
Thou know what that means. Storytime Students Theater 3000. Woo! Yeah!
No. Oh, man, what did I just get myself into? Come on.
Yes! Indiana Jones.
Nice.
It's not Indiana Jones, guys.
Ooh, SpongeBob.
Not that either.
Popeye the Sailor meets
Sindbad the Sailor. Ooh, crossover.
Sindbad? Hey, it's Elon Musk's house.
It's the Cliffs of Insanity.
Watch out for snakes.
What?
Snake. The snake. It's... Never mind.
Pluto. Love that guy. I've said watch out for snakes before. What did that mean? Hey, it's Mr. Krabs. Oh, who lived in the pineapple under the sea?
If you sing that, I'm taking the copyright fee from your pay.
Popeye always helps Wimpy, but Wimpy never helps out. He just chases food.
What's wrong with that?
Who found the air was not so sour and dares to challenge Sindbad's power?
Do bats have fangs, Story J?
No, 30 locks.
Whoa, 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 what's
Johnny Mac, what's
happening?
happening?
It's okay. It's okay. It's only an effect.
I am dizzy.
It's alright. It's called stereoscope. It's cardboard and clay models, guys. Just keep watching.
Oi, look, it's JetBlue.
And now it's Spirit.
Oh, carnival.
Oh, that was a nice ship we had once. Hey, did you see the same thing I saw? I'm gonna take another look at that thing, see what that was. That's the biggest buzzard I ever saw. Where the fella go? Where am I? Hey, we gotta save olive oil. Come on, Wimpy, hurry up before it's too late. Into the brink.
Let's see Michael Phelps do that. Is it even healthy to eat that burger dunked in ocean water?
That's one salty burger.
Sindbad?
Oh, luncheon.
Yikes.
Here I go within it.
Science preserve us.
It's happening again, Story J.
Yeah, the Fleischers, the animators who made this movie, created a 3D effect for cartoons.
Oh, I don't feel so good.
Yeah, I'll tell you all about it after. Now just watch.
What's this? Oh, yeah. Trying to scare me like that, huh? Can you imagine that dumb mama nose trying to scare me like that, huh? Oh, can you beat that?
That's a bit much.
Stop! You better fix your shirt there, young fellas.
I love Popeye.
Hey, hey,
Well,
let me
let's
down.
see how great you are.
Hey, let me down, you big... Whoa. Whoa. Oh, what's this? Hey, let me down, you big overgrown canary.
Popeye's Chicken, the origin story.
Gravy.
But it's not fried.
There's only room for one great sailor in this world. And that's me.
We're gonna come to terms right now. That's too bad. Hey, what are you doing?
Now you guys know not to use your hands wherever hit, right?
Yes, Story
Story
J.
J.
And you know to always use your words, right?
Yes, Story J.
J.
Alright, just checking, just checking.
I suck you.
Weeble wobbles wobble, but they don't fall down.
Oh, what are you, a fresh guy or something? I'll show you. I can see. Up. Don't leave me now. Oh. Oh.
Always eat your veggies, kids.
Just don't go into a violent rage afterward.
Well, fellas, use your words.
Who's the most remarkable, extraordinary fella?
That was cool. Storytime, can you tell us how they did that camera trick?
Tell you all about it in a second.
What was that 3D thing all about?
All right.
Absolutely necessary.
Okay, you guys know not to do that in a real movie theater where there are other people, right?
Yes, Storytime. So, Storytime, thou promised to show us how they did that cool camera trick in Popeye. And a promise is a promise.
I did promise that. But to understand how they did that, you have to understand how they animated cartoons back then. So we have to take a look way back into the earlier days of animation. Back in the day when even sound and color were new to film.
Ah, the 1980s.
No, not... Actually, no, not the 80s, but... Buddy, the 80s? Really, dude? Actually, the 1930s. Almost 100 years ago by now. Every good story starts with an idea. So the first place we start is with the writers. The writers come up with an idea for the story. All the while, one artist may be sketching out some of the main points of the story called key drawings. Dozens, sometimes hundreds more sketches are made and brought together to look a lot like a gigantic comic strip that outlines the story. This is called a storyboard. Then the animators take over. These artists will draw hundreds, even thousands of drawings that will be translated to each frame of film for animation. When you bring them all together, each frame, 24 frames per second, will make it look like the drawing is moving. The pencil drawings are later given to the inkers, who trace the drawing onto a transparent frame called a cell. The cell is then given to the painters, who then color the figures in by flipping the cell onto the backside, in order to keep the ink from being painted over. In the meantime, other artists create the background scenes that the cells will be placed over. These characters wouldn't have a floor to walk on or a world to live in without the background artists. Now the hundreds of cells and backgrounds are all put together in order to be photographed. For the Fleischers, they went one step farther by creating actual live models out of clay for three-dimensional backgrounds. This was called the stereoptical process, or the setback camera. Here the model was put onto a turntable, while the animation cell was then shot vertically against the live 3D background. With each click of the camera, the animator would then change the frame, but also turn the model on the wheel each time. So when all the frames came together on film, the animated character looks like it's moving along with the live model background. After the animation is all put together, it has to be edited for sound, music, and of course, the voice actors. And there you have it, one classic, vintage, animated Popeye cartoon. Now, most cartoons nowadays are made on computers, but back in the day, before computers, all of them were made by hand. That's what you call 2D animation. There's other types of animation too, not only 2D and 3D animation, but also motion graphics, stop motion, and claymation. Now, even though computers are the way to go in the 21st century, there are still some artists out there who choose to do traditional 2D animation. Try saying that 3 times fast. Here from animator Arjan Chatterjee is Home.
Man, I wish I could do that.
Oh, dude, you could totally do that. I mean, it might take a little patience, but with a little practice, you could be just as talented as any animator or cartoonist out there.
Oh, but what I mean is, aren't there jobs for people who just want to write the story for the animation?
Not only are there writers, but I could call up one of the most famous animation writers out there.
Really?
Let me put it this way. Have you heard of Dickens? Joyce? Shakespeare?
Yeah?
Amateurs.
Come on, Story J.
All right. I'm kidding. They're not amateurs. Now, if anybody knows me at all, they know I love cartoons from the 70s, 80s, and especially from the 90s. During that time, it wasn't easy to get into the animation field, especially for a person of color. But one artist not only broke that barrier, but also became the head writer for many major animation studios and was responsible for writing some of the most unforgettable animated episodes of television of all time. Well, my opinion, but you know. Okay, I'm gonna gush a bit, so just bear with me because if we get him on the phone.
Story J, you always gush over whoever's on the phone.
Excuse me, it's the only program doing it.
What?
Nothing. Beautiful day here in the neighbor. It's ringing. Okay. Friendly readers, please help me welcome animation writer and producer, John Semper Jr. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm great.
I hope you don't mind, sir, but we have a few questions regarding animation. Could you tell us a little about yourself and what you do?
My name is John Semper. Sometimes I'm credited as John Semper Jr. because that's who I really am. But I am an animation writer, producer. I've been doing it since 1980. I am the longest running Black writer in probably animation history. Wow. And I'm certainly the longest running Black writer in TV animation history. And I was the first Black staff writer. I might have even been the first Black writer in TV animation. I started on staff at Hanna-Barbera in roughly 1980. It's probably about 81 because initially I was a film editor, and that's how I began in the industry. And here we are in 2022, and I'm still here. So that's my quick story. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. See you later.
What drew you towards a job in writing for animations?
Well, at Hanna-Barbera, I was a staff writer, so I worked on everything that was happening in the building. So I was working with a lot of the people that I had grown up admiring. But I was invited to a recording session, and it was for the Flintstones. And it was the entire cast, you know. So it was Henry Corden, Gene Vanderpyle, and then Mel Blanc was still doing Barney.
Wow.
And I, as a kid, I just liked to draw, and I wanted to be an artist. And then I loved cartoons, and I wanted to be a cartoonist. And so from about age 6 or 7, cartooning was what I wanted to do. I think probably the movie that affected me the most was Sleeping Beauty, because it was widescreen and stereo sound, and I was a kid. And the idea that you could get that kind of magnificent experience from drawing something on a piece of paper was just overwhelming to me. I thought, well, why would anybody want to do anything else? I'm nothing if not consistent. I mean, you know, if you talk to me at age 6, age 12, age 20, age 30, you know, and I won't continue the number counting, but I'm the same person. I still love cartoons. I still love doing animation, and I still love telling stories. And, you know, on the other side of the room, I've got all my Star Trek, you know. So the great thing, when I was producing Spider-Man, I basically said to my casting guys, let's hire as many Star Trek people as we can. I wanted to meet them all. So Nichelle Nichols worked on Spider-Man, and Major Roddenberry. And, you know, we had them all, except we didn't have Nimoy and Shatner, but we had everybody else. And that's because I'm a super Trekkie. Yeah.
So in your opinion, what's better, 2D or 3D animation?
Things can be made faster. Things can be made cheaper, and they look better. One of the things I always joke about is with Hanna-Barbera, you always had to think of things in terms of moving from left to right or right to left. Anything that moved forward, you know, in that third dimension cost money. When I first went to Hey There, It's Yogi Bear, the motion picture, and Yogi was moving in real dimensional space, I was like, you know, it blew my mind, because as a kid, I knew that they were cutting corners. Today, they can do all of that wonderful dimensional animation because they're, you know, it's computer aided. There are lots of wonderful tools, and so the product looks better. You know, the animation product has never looked better than it does today.
Was there more difficulty back then in showing representation?
I mean, things have changed within the last few years, quite frankly. I think maybe even within the last 10 years. But during my time, no, I mean, you know, they weren't looking for any kind of person of color to do anything. In fact, I was really an anomaly, and I just kind of slipped in through the back door when they weren't paying any attention. But you have to understand that the animation business, when I got into it, it did not have the prestige that it has today. In fact, it really should have more prestige as far as I'm concerned, even today. But it still has some. And the Harlem Globetrotters were a huge crossover success. I did the first, what I would consider to be black cartoon show, which was Kid and Play.
Yeah.
Because that was about young black kids doing things that young black kids do. Kid and Play was the first all-black cast. Martin Lawrence, Don Lewis, Cree Summer. We also had Brian Stokes Mitchell on that show. Tony Award winner Brian Stokes Mitchell.
Wow.
The cast of Kid and Play. All great people, all great fun and wonderful people.
Sir, I can't thank you enough for being here. It was amazing. And like I said, you were responsible for some of the most important, incredible animated shows I've ever seen. So once again, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me as your guest, and thank you for making this a fun interview. And I wish you the best of luck in everything that you do.
Well, friendly readers, as always, it's been a blast. And if you have a story, whether it's animated or read aloud, just send it to storyjstorytime@gmail.com, and we might just see your story on Storytime. So be animated, be excited, be colorful, be illustrative, and be you. and I'll see you next time.
Story J, can we do another SD3K?
No, guys, no. I can't do another one with you.
It's okay, I swear. You can ask my mom when she comes pick me up.
Push the button, Frank.
Who's Frank?
Man, you don't get any kind of education at home.
Hey fellow YouTubers, if you like what you see, please hit like and subscribe. And if you want to see more, just click on the button where you can donate and be a paying contributor, where you can see more things like read-alouds, drawing tutorials, virtual field trips, cartoons, and more. See more at Story J Storytime, and I'll see you next time.